Hey everyone, welcome back to Hazardous Opinions. Today we'll be discussing and diving deep into Sinners 2025. A big way you guys can help us is by following us and giving us 5 stars wherever you get your podcasts. Also, reach out to us with anything movies at hazardousopinionspod@gmail.com or on socials like TikTok and Instagram at hazardousopinionspod and chat with us on Discord. Our next episode will be 2024 Wrapped, so be on the lookout for that. We really appreciate all of you and your support. Now, before we dive in, Andy, how you doing?
I'm doing pretty good. Things are starting to brighten up around here. We're getting rid of, well, I mean, we haven't had that much snow, but
No, thank God.
it's been nice out. Minus all the wildfires.
We sound like typical North Dakotans talking
Yeah.
about the weather right now.
If it wasn't for the wind, it'd be super nice.
Yeah. Typical North Dakotan again there. Yeah.
Yeah. How about you?
Pretty good. Yeah, Nell and I have some things cooking up in our lives so far right now, and it's been a lot. So, unfortunately, haven't been giving as much attention to movies as I've wanted to lately, but it's been nice. I just was showing her Pulp Fiction the other night, so
Yeah.
at least something that I love with movies I'm getting into,
Her first watch?
Yeah, first watch. She's really loved Quentin Tarantino, especially because not only like Leo being in Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, and like that's kind of one of the movies based on our meeting actually for the first time. She's loved Christoph Waltz.
Yeah.
That seriously, she calls him Pookie every time. Yeah, every time he's brought up, she's like, "Oh my God, is Christoph Waltz going to be in this Quentin Tarantino?" And unfortunately, he wasn't in Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. Hopefully, he's in his last movie or something here, his 10th one.
Yeah.
But yeah, I just wanted to show her the earlier stuff.
That's good. Yeah. You always got to go back to those classics,
Exactly. Yeah.
especially when it's Tarantino. I mean, those don't really age.
No, not at all. And yeah, she loves how he sets a story up and the dialogue and all. Like, I'm surprised she doesn't get bored with it, but she doesn't,
Yeah.
But yeah, anyways.
Yeah. Speaking of something you don't get bored with.
Should we dive into Sinners 2025?
Yeah.
This was directed and written by Ryan Coogler. He's also done Black Panther and Black Panther Wakanda Forever, Creed, and Fruitvale Station. So I would say after listing all of those, he doesn't really miss.
He's a big Michael Jordan fan.
He is. Michael Jordan, he is in all of these movies. Even though he doesn't star in Wakanda Forever, he's in it. Spoiler. But cinematography was done by Autumn Gerald Arcapa. Also, she's worked with Ryan Coogler and on Wakanda Forever. She's a very young woman, so like I'm super excited for like whatever she does after this, because wow, Sinners and its cinematography. Whew. The plot of Sinners is: trying to leave their troubled lives behind, twin brothers return to their hometown to start again, only to discover that an even greater evil is waiting to welcome them back. Sinners stars Michael B. Jordan, Miles Catton, Haley Steinfeld, Wunmi Mokosaw, Wunmi Mosaku, Jack O'Connell, Delroy Lindo, Omar Benson Miller, and Jamie Lawson, and so much more. Very talented cast.
Yeah, very good cast here.
Holy. The IMDb rating for Sinners is 8.2 out of 10, and the Letterboxd rating is 4.3 out of 5.
Very highly rated. Might even jump in the top 250.
Yeah, exactly. I'm loving that a bunch of Letterboxd users are logging this movie. I love to see what they say about it. And like, Andy, what's your personal rating on it? I need to know now.
Sorry, I was just going to say for the Letterboxd rating, 4.3 with 531,000 people that have rated it.
That's a lot.
That's pretty good.
That's pretty good.
Yeah. So this movie is being pretty well received in theaters right now. So we'll see how things go when it finally gets to streaming somewhere, and what even wider audiences think.
Yeah,
Um,
definitely.
but yeah, for my thoughts, I really enjoyed Sinners. I had a great time with this. There is a very, very strong first and second act in this film that is very devoid of really any action. There's maybe a few little jump scares, little exciting set pieces, but it's just a lot of character work. And it really brings you into the story really well. I love all that. Unfortunately, the third act is where it does not hold up with that same love and devotion into the characters for me. I feel like a lot of the characters just kind of go eh, and they like don't really complete their arcs as well as I was hoping. There's a lot of meh action, and so this movie's a 2 out of 3 for the acts for me. I really enjoy the first like 2/3 of this. So overall, I'll give this like a 7.9. I want to say the performances are top notch. The music is definitely something I hope we'll see at the Oscars this year,
Yes.
in 26. And like the choreography of a lot of these dance numbers and stuff are just amazing. The way that Coogler blends horror with music and you know thriller and just good character story here, just top notch. And of course, as we'll get into it, there's one scene that just really sets this movie apart as well. That
Mm-hmm.
I wish they built on a little bit more throughout, but even that scene on its own is just bumps this film up a little bit.
I definitely get exactly which season you're
Yeah.
talking about.
So, what about you? What do you think, Hunter?
So I would say my personal rating, letterboxed, 4.5 out of 5. I
Okay.
gotta go with that. It's wow. Wow, what a special movie. To me, especially with everything I'm interested in film.
Mm-hmm.
I think it includes, geez, like 90% of what I love about films. It's just such a genre blend. And I'll definitely get into why it's special, but it was definitely a special night, an experience in itself, and just special to me personally and important. That's the biggest word that I can think of right now, just important too. Yeah. So yeah, definitely 4.5 out of 5. And I
4.5.
immediately
Oh,
4.5. So yeah,
okay.
4.5 out of 5. Immediately after Sinners, I asked Nell, okay, so we're adding that to our list of movies to buy, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, she's like, yes, definitely. So if that says anything.
Yeah.
And one big impressive aspect of Sinners that I can say too is it was shot on film and it looks stunning
Mm-hmm.
as well. So that's why it stands out for me, especially within modern filmmaking. Not everybody does film. So, just the IMAX ratio, and also Ryan Coogler he thanked Christopher Nolan in the credits as well for helping him with the IMAX ratio and just how to shoot on that. And
Yeah.
I feel like he really took that into account for sure. It's amazing how it was shot.
I did see Nell's rating, the 4.5 out of 5. I was wondering if you were going to be in line with that. So.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I think it really helped to have her beside me too for the film. I think that bumped it up. Obviously, the experience in itself with the people I went with, but I would say as opposed to other movies, I wasn't as focused on them seeing the movie. Like when I rewatch a bunch of movies with people, I really focus on their reaction to it. Like
Mm-hmm.
you can probably attest to that with Blink Twice. I was just really excited for you to see it, and I had seen it so many times that I was really curious about your reaction to it. So I wasn't so focused on them. The movie just it grabbed me. It did.
Hmm.
Yeah. So I was more focused on what was going on with the movie. And that's special to me as well.
Yeah. I can we jump off into performances to start?
Of course.
Characters.
Yeah.
Michael B. Jordan, not the basketball Michael Jordan,
Nope.
but our favorite actor for Ryan Coogler's films, random shooter films. Um, I don't know. Michael B. Jordan's just. I never know when he's going to show up in things, but
Yeah.
I guess unless it's Ryan Coogler. But he brings like a fantastic double performance here. Like for one, the color schemes in this movie are great. Like differentiating, as one letterbox reviewer said, Michael A. Jordan and Michael B. Jordan.
Yep. A and
With
B.
with the red and blue attire, I really like that for Smoke and Stack. And their personalities, just the way that he portrays them, really does differentiate them. That you usually can tell who's on the screen just by like how they're holding themselves. I just really loved his performance here for that. And yeah,
Yes.
I wonder if he'll get recognized for an actor award for this.
It was really impressive how the brothers were like shot as well. Like having
Mm-hmm.
just that one actor doing both performances, I was never thrown off at all
Mm-hmm.
with both of them being on the screen. I really it it was kind of startling at first seeing Michael B. Jordan being two people side by side,
Yeah,
but you really settle in very quick. And Michael B. Jordan is so good at being a physical performer.
yeah,
His facial expressions and everything with the drama amplify his performance. And I mean, I would say he didn't really do any overacting either that I do see some stars kind of fall into. Smoke and Stack, they are very different, I would say, even though it is the same person doing both roles,
mm-hmm.
they're somewhat similar. Obviously, they look the same, and they share some characteristics, but he really differentiated the two very well. Like one's
Yeah,
reserved, one is more of a leader, you know.
yeah. One's the protector of the other brother.
Exactly.
Um,
Yes.
and I'll get their names mixed up all the time, which one's Smoke and which one's Stack. But yeah, like the one was very protective of his other brother, and as we'll get into, like they have very differing outcomes the way this movie goes.
Right.
Yeah, at least like how their endings go. And so I like that this movie did a really good job of having twins, or twins played by one actor, and having their two stories be told simultaneously without like detracting from another.
Mm-hmm.
Like you got to get characterization from both of them without it like ruining the other one. I thought that was really great how they did that.
Each one held their own space, right?
Yeah,
Yep. Yep. I totally agree with you there.
especially in the first act when we get like our first initial split as brothers after the land deal. They like go into their own way, and then you get Smoke doing his thing, and you get Stack doing his thing, and you get like a perfect like learning about both of them while they're doing their own thing.
I love that they're not together in every scene,
Yeah.
right? Yep, that's what helped it differentiate the two was splitting them off as well. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
definitely. That was a very good choice. And oh man, I mean, if we start with the beginning, Sammy going into the church of ripped up, bloody, with the little bit of guitar in his hand, the top of the guitar in his
Mm-hmm.
hand was just such a great setup for a movie.
Mm-hmm.
I thought like you're immediately like, okay, what the hell happened to get us to here? And with him entering the church, you get a couple of those flashes with, I mean, obviously you're like, okay, this is going to be the villain of the film. With Remic's eyes just red, you get those like just quick flashes and they're
Oh, yeah.
already imprinted in
Yep.
your head, you know? And you're like, okay, all right, this is where it's going, but like, how did we even get to there?
Yeah.
Yeah, so like your mind's already running when this beginning starts, and I love that. That's how you get viewer attention.
Hmm. I love that opening. Just the little quick flashes. You're not getting told a whole lot, so it's not like a true starting from the end of the story type thing. You're just getting these little glimpses of what the future might be, and just done in a really thrilling way, like to open up the film. I like that.
Definitely. Yeah. Yeah, just pushing us right into the huge ocean of what this movie is, I feel.
Yeah, I guess a super quick title card, which I appreciated.
Yes, same. And it looked good and it fit with the times, I felt,
Yeah,
the style of the movie. The and like you said, the first shot of the brothers where they were chilling by their car
yeah,
together. Wow, like just so cool. And it's already iconic. It's so
mm-hmm.
classy. And like you said, the choice of Stack having the red hat and Smoke having the blue one.
Mm-hmm.
Something like black and white would have been too on the nose,
Yeah,
probably for the social issues that this film kind of has on its mind and everything. I like those two colors differentiating the two brothers for sure.
yeah, and yeah, I like what you said. They're very very cool, very dapper gentlemen.
Oh
I
yeah,
thought like the suits. I thought the costumes overall in this were amazing.
amazing. Yeah, it really enters you into the times for
Yeah.
sure. Like yeah, the 30s. And like also with the structure of the film already being presented to us, I love the jump back just one day and the overall structure of this film. I think it was right for what the story was presenting,
Mm-hmm.
and it's so easy to follow.
Yeah. 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 It's not like, oh, here's 7 days ago, and then there's all this jumping back and forth to the future and back. And yeah, I like that it was very quick. It was a 1 day time jump back. Usually, like, I harp on those things. I don't like the starting at the end of the movie.
Yep,
But like here, I thought it was pretty well done. So,
definitely. I agree with you. And of course, me having my wife, the smart ass she is sometimes, and the quick quips she has, and why I love her. Uh, she she says, "I have to know what it was like to be his own scene partner for Michael B. Jordan."
yeah.
I was like, "Oh my god, just get out of here." I just thought, she
Yeah.
she lightens up anything that's going on. But yeah, I thought that was really funny. She mentioned that.
I gotta imagine that feels weird. Like you're recording the same scene twice
Exactly,
with two
right?
different
Yeah,
characterizations.
you're supposed to be on the other side of that conversation, and like, you're kind of going off your own reactions, right?
Hmm.
During a conversation and going off your own words, how you present them. It's really weird.
Yeah. Also, on the performances, I want to say Jack O'Connell was a big standout for me.
Remick.
Remick, our our villain for this, or kind of like our main antagonist. I did not realize this movie was vampires. I thought it was demons or something from the
Really?
trailers. I can't remember. I'd have to watch the trailer again if they ever say vampires.
They do.
But do they in the trailer?
Oh, sorry. In the trailer, I'm not sure
Yeah,
because I don't watch trailers anymore.
yeah.
Yeah.
Because I think I went into this thinking it was demons, and at some point they just say vampires. Is like, oh, okay, this is not what I was expecting. So
Yep.
it's like a whole different shift for like how you have to deal with these. Then in my mind. But either way, the whole demon vampire thing, I liked all of them. All of their performances were super great, and I love the twist, taking O'Connell and making him evil, but the vampires were still the people. They were still like real people. They
Yep.
weren't just like super cartoonishly evil or anything.
No.
They're
No.
these weird, super nice, super original personality vampires that also do dance numbers outside your barn when they're wanting to kill you.
Yes. Yeah. Adds to the creepiness, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
And I mean, since we're on the topic, I do have a huge thing in my notes about Remick as a villain.
Yeah,
Would you like to
go
talk
ahead.
about him before we kind of go through the story?
Yeah, let's dive into him.
So, I mean, I love my villains in stories. With him, his entrance into the story, it's very natural. It starts with a ferocious, bloody beginning that inserts him and the danger like seamlessly into the plot.
Hmm.
It kind of like the devil being casted out from heaven with being burned on the back. It's kind of an
Mm.
interesting imagery where he comes to that couple. And it's like he's being casted out
Yeah.
while he's being hunted by the Native Americans. And it makes sense to get the vampire aspect rolling. The group the group of Native Americans hunting him, he barely escapes from them. It also makes sense that they're the ones aware of vampires, just like Annie is later on in the story, as we come to find out.
Mm.
She's very spiritual and she's into all that stuff as well. They believe in the myths of the world and are more aware than others. The inspiration from Puss in Boots in The Last Wish. Have you ever seen Ryan Coogler kind of mention that as a
Uh,
inspiration for the villain of?
I've not, but I've seen the film.
Okay. Yeah. So Remick, he took quite a bit of inspiration from the character Death
Okay.
in Puss in Boots and the Last Wish. And it's so awesome to me. And I love how Coogler thinks as a filmmaker, and he has a young, fresh mind and take that resonates with me.
Hmm.
The red eyes on Remick, like the character of Death, they're so transfixing and they're muted. The red eyes, the contacts or whatever they put in,
Hmm.
they're muted and not too bright, but you can always see the dark red in there. It makes him seem more like the devil. And many modern films also have their special characteristics that people can pull from, just like they can pull from like Pulp Fiction, Casablanca,
Hmm.
Nosferatu, all those like classic films. I'm kind of spanning time there, but you know what I mean. And yes, recent movies derive from those classic movies, but modern movies can also have their own identity in ways. And I love that Coogler saw that in a special animated movie too,
Hmm.
to like kind of bring into his film instead of like looking way back
Yeah.
into films, if that makes sense.
Yeah. I like that. I didn't know that.
Yes. Yeah. And also like Remick, he's relatable a bit and he has somewhat of a point, just
Hmm.
like Killmonger from Black Panther.
Hmm.
The layers that Kugler gave to Remick are what I can gnaw on. And it's fascinating. Remick he's a hypocrite in the movie, actually. He, in the end, actually became what he hated. And he tried to take Sammy and everyone else away from their freedom just to create what he wanted for his own community
Hmm.
of vampires. Jack O'Connell, he was phenomenal in the way he brought Remick to life with the not too over the top, like you kind of were talking about right away, but he's still mesmerizing.
Yeah, I agree. I think he's a very magnetic performer. I've seen him in a couple things before this, and I've always kind of liked his performances, but like this has been obviously the standout one for me so far. Like he was in Unbroken, it was really good, and then I just watched Trial by Fire. He's kind of a main character in that.
Awesome. Okay.
Good
Yeah.
performances,
I
and
haven't seen him before. Oh, wait, I shouldn't say that. Actually, he was in Eden Lake,
mm,
the thriller I mentioned on the pod, I think before.
yeah,
He was one of the villains in there too,
okay,
but he was supposed to be like a young teen in it, so like I didn't really recognize him.
okay.
Yes.
He's the in Unbroken. He's the main character of a war story that you root for,
Oh
and
wow,
then
so he was the main of the
yeah,
movie. Okay.
so different performer there, and then Trial by Fire. He's kind of like he's like the main character, sort of. But it's different. It's unsure if he's good or bad. It's
Sure.
it's a courtroom movie, and he's on trial for death.
Oh, definitely. Interesting.
But anyways, yeah, like in Sinners here, he was just fantastic. I loved his like nuance to it too, where it was like at first they're bringing him up, and you're like, okay, are they gonna go the like racist vampire route with
Right.
him and his couple white people that you got so far,
And
and
we
then
find out they're part of the KKK.
and they
Yep.
kind of subvert that a little bit, and he's like, no, I don't give a shit about race or anything like that. Like, I just want you as vampires.
Just trying to create a community just like they are doing with
Yeah.
the club. So it's very interesting. Your protagonists are doing the same thing that the villain is trying to do.
Mm-hmm.
So creates for a very good conflict in the movie, right?
Yeah. And there's a very like you say, he kind of has a point. Like he's not
Yes.
just some villain who's just killing people to kill people. Like
No.
he's got his motives and his reasons, and from a certain way, like you could look at it as right.
You're
Like
like,
who wouldn't want
okay,
to be
all
immortal?
right.
I don't
I see
know.
what this guy's is saying. Yeah.
Yeah. Like they're not saying that they have to feed on people to survive or anything.
No.
They don't mention anything like that. It's
Uh-uh.
just you just don't look at the sun anymore, I guess, is your only downside.
Exactly. Yeah. And okay, like if we're kind of getting into the story, we'll get more on Remick later. I do
Mm-hmm.
have more of him in my notes, but the mention of Chicago and Capone
Yeah.
was enough for me to gather what the two brothers did and are capable of already. Like it
Mm-hmm.
gives that backstory without giving too much
Yes.
backstory, right?
That was a great point I wanted to bring up is I feel like they don't overdo Smokestack's background.
Exposition and
Yeah.
stuff. Yeah.
Like Chicago gets brought up a lot, but it's not
Yes.
in detail.
No.
And I think there's one name drop of Capone, and there's just very light references to stuff, and I don't think it's till like late in the third act where they even mention that they were in the war. And so I really appreciate that because that was something I picked up without them having to say. And so I just like that they confirmed it subtly later, and it wasn't just, oh hey, we're big war heroes and we're big gangsters back from Chicago. We're super badasses ready to do it, like anything you'd see the Rockin' or something. They got to build up his special force background right away, so you
Yes.
know why
Yeah.
he's so built and so menacing of a guy.
Andy, that's a really good point, actually. Yeah, I love that.
Like they're okay with just being subtle about it and letting the characters be who they are and not having to just completely go off on a whole exposition thing about them. Like you can see obviously from their demeanor that Michael B. Jordan's a built man.
Yep,
Like
he always has been.
he's probably done some stuff in this kind of world when you're probably not weightlifting back then and taking protein in 1930, especially with all the Great Depression. I'm sure protein is harder to come by.
Yep. He must be an enforcer, right?
Yeah.
Probably. Yep.
So like the whole Chicago storyline like plays really well, and it just kind of fits with his portrayal of the characters.
Definitely. Oh yeah. No, totally agreed. And I was going to say also like the reveal of when we're going on about Michael B. Jordan, the reveal of Sammy's musical ability, it's amazing.
Mm-hmm.
Like in the car when Stack is driving him and he starts playing his song. Michael B's reaction as Stack in the car while driving was just it was
Yeah,
phenomenal. Yeah, that exactly. Like
felt real.
it did. It was like wow, like the music is coming alive in
Mm-hmm.
this movie, like with the characters as well. That's what's interesting, like plunging us into the musical stuff of this.
Yeah, I like that they don't hammer you right away with um the great music either. Like there's a lead up to the really all-star performances too in this
Yes.
of the music, but all of the music in this movie is great. But they, start you up with, Sammy's little tunes he's doing, which are great, and then you get, your background score and everything, and it just builds up and builds up until you get to that concert where you're like, oh my god, like this is awesome. I'd go listen to this.
Right?
Speaking of Miles, Miles Keaton, is Sammy or the preacher boy. Like, I really liked his performance as well. He was very like muted. He's a very quiet, reserved boy. I liked him a lot. I liked even to where we get to at the end, his personality with a different actor still carries through. Is kind of like that reserved, calm kind of guy. Like he knows his abilities and just does his thing.
What I appreciated about him was that he was a very respectful young man, even if he teetered towards the side that his father would not like.
Yeah.
He was still, I felt, a gentleman,
Yeah.
with
With the Jamie Lawson, it's
yes,
Perline.
Perline.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. He was just such a yeah,
Yeah.
a nice young boy that was so interested in what his older cousins were doing. And
Mm-hmm.
it's a big staple in movies, I feel, like that character right
Mm-hmm.
there. But I like how he was in Sinners,
Yeah.
like he felt different from a bunch of those other staple characters in stories like this, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm. I did like that he does teeter back and forth.
Yes.
He's not the full preacher boy. Like he knows
No. Yeah.
his verses and stuff, and he does seem to have some appreciation for it. And then he also, delves a little bit into the cousins world. He, flirts around with a married woman. He
Yep.
has the scene with Stag later where he's like pointing the gun at him. But it's kind of ambiguous, like how he turns out in his later life. But you assume he kind of still stays on his own path. He's somewhere between good and evil.
Yep.
Um,
Yeah, him as an older man, it still feels like it correlates to who he was as a younger man.
mhm.
And I feel like he just has a really good head on his shoulders. And we need, even though like Michael B is, both the brothers are supposed to be our like main protagonists, I
Yeah.
feel like Sammy is just our even keel
Hmm.
for this movie.
Yeah. I agree with that. I did want to also shout out honorable mentions for Delroy Lindo, who's Delta Slim, and then Omar Benson Miller, who you mentioned in your intro for Cornbread. Both of
Yes.
them were like amazing comedic relief throughout this. I really liked all their scenes with them. I thought they were super. I don't know how you say it, like homely. Like it felt like someone that you could just chat to and have like a nice conversation with. And like I just enjoyed their humor a lot.
They feel very implanted into the world, right? Yep.
Yeah.
Like you were saying, they're kind of that constant that you can go and talk to. I feel. I think I shat myself. Delroy Lindo's character, Delta Slim, was probably my standout for comedy for
Yeah.
sure in this movie. We're kind of jumping into this, like farther into the story with that line,
Hmm.
but Delroy, he's so talented, and his delivery was too good with that like very deep Southern accent as well.
Hmm.
I did find myself sometimes not totally understanding what he was saying because I'm not used to that accent down there. I wish I was in the South more than I am.
Yeah.
Um, but him and Cornbread as characters, yes, and especially Cornbread. I mean, jumping again in the story, but when Cornbread came up to the door
Hmm.
and was not let in, that
That's
worked
amazing
for an
scene.
amazing comedy moment. Of course, it was tense but comedic.
Yeah.
How the hell do you do
Pull it
that?
off.
No, and that's why I think this movie is special. Ryan Coogler is special.
Hmm.
Like how do you blend those genres so well
Hmm.
in that one scene? That's a perfect example of what we're talking about.
Yeah. I like to look back at both our introductions to Cornbread and Slim as well. Just like perfect personifications of who they are as characters. With Cornbread being a very family man, um, it's very, what do you call it, like soft-hearted giant.
Yes.
Um, I like that a lot. And then you get like Delta Slim, who's a very like rugged man. I don't know if that's the right terminology.
Rugged,
Like
drunk, old
yeah,
man of the
kind of
town.
a
Yep.
drunkard, but he's very realistic about it. He's like,
Yes.
"Well, I play for you this one night. You're gonna give me all this money, but I need consistency in my life. Like I still got
Yeah.
more years to drink."
Yes. Yeah. He's thinking about the long term.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
like, yeah, he's making bad decisions, but he's a really smart guy who is thinking about the future and he's, considering his options in life. And I kind of like that they weren't one-sided with his character like that.
Correct. Yeah. There's depth,
Yeah.
and I'll get more into that depth for sure. But the comedy, it's so charming as hell too. Like my mouth dropped when Stack spoke like that to Cornbread and his wife when they were out in the field and he was recruiting him
Oh, yeah.
at first. Yeah, I was like, "Oh, Stack, hold on, man. Like,
Yeah.
yeah, you be careful what you say." Like,
Mine
gee.
too. I was very surprised. I'm like, "Oh,
I'm like,
damn.
"Wow."
Maybe you got the vampire in him early."
Right? Yeah, I wasn't too sure. And like, too, what keeps me entertained throughout the setup of this movie is the quick dialogue, the performances, and the atmosphere. The color tones do really help with the cinematography,
Mhm.
and like, you know, transplant transplanting us into this world. But like the recruiting of musical people and others to help run the club, it's so fun, and the way they're recruited is also fun. Getting the band together and other movies structured like this, it possibly would have been a bit boring during this recruiting.
Mhm.
Sinners is one where I'm locked in with everything being set up.
Yeah.
It's not just setting up for setting up sake. It's actually entertaining, and we gather more of a feel for characters and the community
Mhm.
and the world. We're just, yeah, like I said, transplanted into that world.
Yeah. It's very lived in town.
It is,
Es-
yes.
Especially with the Asian couple, Yao and Lee Jun Lee,
Yes.
like, and their daughter, I can't remember the name. But like they're all like little parts, like
Yes.
just little side characters, but like having their two stores and like helping out for
The black and the white side. And
yeah.
yes, people are bringing up, and like I didn't know much of this, but historically, like it's accurate in
Mm,
this world actually. So it's very interesting that Ryan Coogler put it in the Mississippi Delta
mm-hmm.
and really did his research with everything in that time and that area.
Yeah. Yeah, that was one of the things I wanted to say too. It was like this movie is super like South.
Yes. Yeah.
Like I think it's all filmed in Louisiana and like you feel it.
Yes.
Like from the the communities that they're in to like the farmland that's around there, even to I think there's like some marshy areas maybe in some scenes, but like I don't know, it just feels like that. The only part that didn't get me fully in the area and time zone was like the accents. Like you mentioned Delta Slims, I thought he was pretty good, but there's some of the other ones like I don't know, like the Asian couple, and then I didn't really get it too much from Michael B. Jordan, like the accent. Like maybe it's because he was in Chicago so
Maybe
much.
because he was in a different area after a while. Yeah,
Yeah, so
kind
he's got
kind of
more
like
of a Midwest.
I have a buddy that's from Oregon, and then when he moved here for college for only like, yeah, I mean, 4 or so years, and
Had the Minnesota.
he started to get a bit of our accent, even though he made fun of us
Yeah,
plenty. Yeah, shouting out you, Gabe.
I don't know. I didn't. Yeah, the accents I didn't feel too much, but like it wasn't something that completely took me out of the film or anything.
No, definitely.
Um,
And like it's just a very nice gradual wade into a pool so that you're fully immersed in the setting and world Kugler is creating. When the old rundown house came up when Smoke was visiting Annie in the beginning,
mhm.
Nell also said, "This is all we can afford right now." Her little quips just like, it made the film better for me. So I'm appreciative of her for sure.
Yeah, and I'm sure maybe that's what it was like in the 30s. You had houses like that. It didn't have our nice luxuries of today.
And yeah, the downtrodden, it was tough for Black people down in the South
Mhm.
still after the Civil War, and it's very sad. Really inserts us in the world for
Mhm.
sure.
And I think Michael B. Jordan talks about that a little bit. I can't remember if it's Smoke or Stack, but where they're like, why not just, make it up north or something and,
Hmm.
have a good life up there? And he's like, well, this is like my home. I can't remember verbatim, but it's like, this is our area. Can't let them run us out. Things like that.
No, they still care about their community, and community is a huge
Hmm.
through line of this film, which I'll
Yeah.
get to later too. Yeah. After that first sex scene between Smoke and Annie,
It went
I,
on too long.
oh
I
man, I was really starting to rock with the music though. It really locks you in, man. Like the blues, it's so woven into this movie
Yeah.
seamlessly, you know?
I'm no prude, but I always like, I don't know, just cut away. Like,
I get
it's
you.
not necessary.
At the same time though, I don't feel like they showed too much, you know? It was just
Yeah. I mean, they were closed, but
I mean,
yeah.
I have it in my notes, but I'll get to it right now if you need.
The other sex scene.
Sinners exudes and oozes sex. I think of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Mutant Mayhem. Ooze. Uh had like I had to include the ooze in there to honor Haley spitting in Michael B's mouth,
Oh my
man.
god,
Holy shit.
this
Do
movie
you want
is
some?
very
Like
sexy at some
it
points.
is, and it's not very common for movies nowadays. And nowadays, I feel like sexuality should be more open than it is. We're just a different generation than past generations, and
Hmm.
I I don't know. It's just it got the whole crowd like in the movie kind of like whoa, oh my god, it's kind of it's fun.
Yeah.
You know, it's a good type of sexy that doesn't go on
Hmm.
too much,
See, I
I feel.
really like that one though, because I feel like that was driving the vampire stuff forward.
Exactly.
Where
It has a point
I
to it,
feel like
right?
Annie and Smoke, yeah, Smoke is the one with Annie, right? Yeah.
Yes.
There's it just kept going on, and I was like, okay, come on, we're going. I get it. They love each other.
Well, I do feel like for their plot line, like their romance, I felt like that drove it forward because it's they had an established one. They almost had a child.
Hmm.
Um but they still are in it together.
Hmm.
You know,
Yeah, still a
like
lot of feelings there.
I would have kind of wondered more about it if they didn't get that intimate. If that makes sense actually.
Yeah.
Like I would have been like, "Oh, are they strangers now to each other or like do they not care about each other anymore?" And I think that kind of just plunges you into their romantic history, if
Yeah.
that makes sense,
Yeah.
without talking about it too much. Talking about romances, though, my wife and I, we were locked in on Stack and Mary. Like, wow, when the romantically sad blues swelled, and the two's performance when they first met up with each other at the train station, I think it was.
Hmm. Yeah.
From the moment it's revealed Stack left Mary behind, and that there was this special romance, you can't help but be invested in them too.
Hmm.
You know, I was invested in both romances, if that makes sense.
Yeah. I There's a lot of romance in this altogether, and I think that it kind of ties more into that the community that you were talking about too. Was everyone's dating with inside this community?
Close relationships.
Yeah. It's like
You
we
really care about this community.
I knew your mom. Sorry, she passed. And
Yes.
then yeah, and they're dating the people that like all knew each other, knew their families.
Ties to the community that they couldn't leave behind in Chicago.
Yeah.
You know, yeah, so it brings them back here to their roots because they have special relationships. And I really like that. That makes sense to me.
Hmm. Though I wasn't a fan much of um Perlene and Sammy, Preacher Boy. Like
Oh, preacher boy.
Preacher Boy. So I did like that part a lot,
Yes. Me
actually.
too.
So that was one sex scene that I'm like, okay, that's good.
This is needed. Yeah.
Just for like the comedic element.
Same.
But like when they first meet and stuff, she's just there, just shows up, and it didn't feel as natural to me because we just had Mary show up and now there's Perlene showing up.
Fair.
And
Okay.
then he's like hitting on her and she's like, I have a husband. And I'm like, I kept thinking through the movie, I'm like, is she lying? Is that just like a thing to turn a guy down? Because then she, pretty quickly acquiesces to him and agrees to show up at the juke joint. And I'm like, okay, so she's a sinner too. She's like not of high moral character, I guess, if she's willing to so quickly leave leave her husband for someone she just met. Like we don't know about her husband and what he's like, but
Right. That's actually a very good point because I didn't really think about that aspect of her character
yeah,
at all. So, like, thank you for bringing that up. Like, yeah,
that was one thing I
sh-
just kept thinking about. Like
she's
she's at
included
their
in
yeah,
everybody else that's sinning too. Yeah, yeah, definitely. And I love though that like Sammy is this very talented musical young man, and he's their cousin, and he's so smooth. He
he's
almost
very smooth.
channels Michael B. Jordan,
Yeah,
like a younger Michael B. Jordan. It's weird, and I'm like, okay, I can see them as cousins, so I love the performance
mm.
with that.
Yeah, he's got that nice deep voice too.
He
I think that
does.
helps.
Oh my gosh! And when it comes out and singing, wow,
Yeah.
he's linked to the blues for me. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
definitely.
And my final performance I want to talk about a little was
Of course.
Haley Steinfeld.
Oh, that's
So
Mary.
yeah, our one semi-white. I don't know if is Haley Steinfeld actually
She's actually part
like a
black,
fourth. Okay,
and that's what's awesome about her casting
okay,
and Ryan Coogler's mind,
yeah.
I think.
I didn't delve into who her grandparents are, or if that's her actual story that she talks about in the movie. But yeah, she is a more I don't know what you call that, light skinned. I think
Yes.
that's the right term. But yeah, so like I liked that dynamic of is she's pretty white, but she's family by blood, sort of, to the community. So like they accept her. Um,
Very interesting, like complexity there
yeah,
with social issues back then, right?
yeah,
Where like if somebody was, eh, they were considered to have a drop
mm-hmm.
of black in them. Very dark part of our history,
Yeah,
but it's just very interesting adding that element into the story too.
mm-hmm.
And I don't see a lot of that in stories, so like it's
Yeah.
really nice. Yeah.
And yeah, Coogler he really likes having these conversations, as you see from the other movies he does, Black Panther, and
Yes.
yeah, he likes having these big social discussions, especially on race. And I did like that they had that. I thought that was very interesting in this, the dynamics of how much is in your blood to make you part of the community. And then she also has the conversation with I think Stack later, where she's like, I can't remember she says like I'm more black than you or something. Like she goes on to his like their personality traits of like what she does that makes her part of the community.
Right.
Um, so I liked all that, but I like getting further into when the vampire stuff starts. I feel like she's cut so short, and then I'm like, oh, like I felt really sad because I never got an arc for her, and she's just gone.
Really?
Yeah, because I think when we get to the end, like her, yes, they retain their original personality a bit with the vampire thing, but I felt like she was a completely different character afterwards.
Okay, I do have some things in my notes about that. I do feel like her arc still carries on.
Yeah, you think
Um,
so?
yeah, and I will talk about it for sure.
I do as well. Before you get into your thing,
Yeah,
I'll say, Mary, I did not recognize her as Haley Steinfeld at first.
no way.
You did? Like, I can't I can't remember if I knew she was in this film. I think I've seen her in the title cards before, but I was like, I don't know. I think it's just maybe been a few years since I've seen Haley Steinfeld. So I'm
Hmm.
like, is that her? Yeah.
I've just known her ever since. Oh, geez, Pitch Perfect 2.
Because I think the last thing I've seen her in was Bumblebee. I think she was in,
Yep.
right? She was the main
Hmm.
character there.
Yep.
I think that was maybe the last movie I've seen her in.
Yeah. Yeah. It's funny too because Cole Pick was like, "Where do I know her?" Like, all of a sudden she blew up. Who is she? And I'm like,
Yeah.
Cole, like she was in Pitch Perfect 2. He didn't know that. And then also she's had quite a few songs on the radio. She's a good
Mhm.
singer.
Yeah. I'm very familiar with her music career.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. So like she's had that. And then I mean, one of her she started acting young even before Pitch Perfect 2. She was in Edge of 17,
Yep.
which was a huge film.
Yep. Looking at mine now, that's I think the last movie I seen her in. And she's
Exactly.
super good, but she's super young there.
Dude, every one of her movies is a hit, by the way. She
Yeah.
does not star in a bad thing.
She was
She's having a good career.
she was 20 there, and now she's 29, I think she'd be.
Yeah, so like around our age at
Yeah.
least.
Born in 96.
And now she's also engaged to Josh Allen, one of the biggest quarterbacks in the NFL. So
Mhm.
yeah, she's Jesus Christ. Her life is just nuts.
Yeah, almost I guess half of what I've seen her in is Marvel stuff too.
And yep, she is also the new Hawkeye. So yeah, she's like blowing up.
But she I will say Haley Steinfeld looked amazing in this. Like between the character design and I liked her hair a lot. It was very good.
Yes, yeah. Even though she was a like standout character apart from everybody, obviously because she is just, part black and, more white than all the other characters that we see in this community,
Mm-hmm.
I'm super happy with how she looked.
Yeah.
Like you said, yeah. And I feel like you can insert her into that community pretty well too.
Yeah.
That montage when Sammy starts singing his song
Mm-hmm.
and the voiceover, super transcendent, chills all over my body during
Mm-hmm.
this whole thing. The music was in my chest. The burn down building to the pan out of the vampires and history colliding.
Mm-hmm.
Just stunning. I know a lot of people are saying this, but my soul like literally lifted out of my body being film lover and witnessing that on a big screen was just crazy to me, and what an
Yeah.
experience.
It's it's definitely one of those unique cinema experiences that it's hard to match with any other film out there. Probably its own unique thing that would never be matched.
Films will probably study that going forward,
Mm-hmm.
honestly. Like that, I feel like that is an integral creation
Mm-hmm.
of somebody in the film world.
And it's one of those things that it's interesting because that kind of concept has been touched on and even covered in movies before. Like I even just watched Echo, the Marvel miniseries,
Mm-hmm.
and that's very much about connecting with your past and your heritage. And so they do a lot of like you're connected to all your ancestors at once type thing.
Yep.
So like this isn't like an absolute new concept, but like just the way that they do it with music connecting you to each person who's done like the same thing before within your line and connecting to your ancestry. Amazing. And I was thrown off a little bit at first when I seen the guitar player.
Yeah.
Like that's a really hard shock
Yeah.
for a 1930s movie to start opening up with a Sting looking electric guitar player guy.
Yes. Yeah.
And I was like, what the fuck is going on? Are we about to like
Whoa.
go into modern day? Um, and then, as they add on it and they go further and further back, and they even with the Chinese couple, they even had some like Chinese dancers out there. So it
Yes.
wasn't just like the black community. And I thought that was really nice that it was mixing like heritage all over through the music. Like everyone was vibing in the
Yes.
concert hall. Like even what is her name? The Asian, the Chinese wife, Grace Chow. She was like dancing and she's like bringing drinks or whatever she was doing, and
Yeah.
I thought it was great. Like everyone was just vibing with it.
The way Coogler showed it visually, and you want to be transported by films, right?
Mm-hmm.
And in that moment, in that whole montage, I was transported to a bunch of different eras and decades, and
Yeah.
it you just feel fixed in there.
Mhm.
I don't really know how to describe it other than that. It's just like, yeah, I was transported through plenty of time zones there, you
Yeah.
know?
Yeah. It's it's a hard to describe scene without, you watching it. Mm.
Honestly, you gotta feel it.
Yeah.
I feel like I would tell that to any movie lover. You need to just watch it. I can't really describe it to you.
Mhm. Yeah.
Yeah, Coogler just came up with something in his head, and it's beautiful.
It's one of those scenes that will define the 2020s, I think,
I think so too.
for film here.
The first time really getting to know Remick when at like the entrance of the club,
Mhm.
it's really enticing. It's just ramping me up for the night to be had.
Mhm.
Now that we know how it might play out, it's just even more exciting with all these people inside the club and the danger lurking outside constantly.
Yeah. I like that the what kind of concepts they bring in with the vampire stuff. Like they bring in kind of all the cliches.
Yes.
Um but especially the have to be invited in part. I really like that. And as you spoke to you earlier about cornbread, like it can bring really tense scenes into this.
The reveal of the rules for the vampires, it was supernatural and believable.
Mhm.
I mean, we're kind of jumping a little bit ahead, but I absolutely love that Kugler went with old school vampire rules,
Mhm.
like having to invite them in.
Yeah.
That just made for more comedy and thrills for me in this whole movie with just a simple rule like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, so like I love that Kugler went back to basics
Yeah.
for this.
You almost don't pick it up right away. Like
Mm-mm.
you can, like if you're pretty in touch with, vampire lore, notice it from the first time that the trio of white people come
Yep.
with Jack O'Connell and them. They're like, very persistent about asking permission to come in. But you could, also see it as these fucking three demons are being really creepy and
Yep.
they're, I don't know, maybe they're wanting to do something inside and they're just being nice about it. And then, like, I don't even know if I noticed right away with Mary either because hers is so, like, natural with cornbread, letting her in. And then, like, of course, we get to later and it's like a huge plot point, letting them in. And really like that a lot, especially with cornbread. And then with the scene where everyone's at the door and they're all facing there, and then there's Stack and Jack O'Connell comes up, Remick, and everyone kind of all trying to convince people to either let them in or come out.
Yep. Yeah. I'll definitely get to that in my notes. And since we're here, when Mary is bit, that whole sequence was entrancing, and it was. I looked over to my wife, and she was like, "No, no, 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 no." Like, we knew where it was going, but I love
Yeah.
how it was set up, even though we knew where it was going.
Mm.
And in the promos and stuff, you did see Haley Steinfeld with those like lenses in her eyes and stuff. I did see a shot of her, and
Yeah.
I
She's, I
always
think,
knew
announced in
she
the
was a
trailer.
vampire. Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. So eventually I knew she would be, but the way it happens
Mm-hmm.
is just it's so sad. She really wanted to help out the club and get money for them,
Mm-hmm.
and then she ends up being bit. Like, just the motivation for going out there, it wasn't like, gosh, you stupid person, like, don't
Yeah.
go out there, those are vampires. It was a good reason to go out.
Mm-hmm.
And the when the vampires were chilling with their musical instruments after they said that they were a musical group and they were
Mm-hmm.
trying to like convince them to come in at first, Mary, when she comes out, I love that they're kind of like doing a little sad, slow song because they weren't let in, but
Yeah.
also it's an entrancing thing for Mary to come upon, I feel, and like almost luring. that they're just so like innocent and they're doing this folk tale song.
Yeah.
Will you go, lassie, will you go? It just, man, the way they did that song. I love the music in this where there's blues, but there's also a different form of music
Mhm.
that also like brings you into the film, like that Irish folk song.
Yeah.
And I literally like played it for my coworker the other day. I'm like, hey, I know you haven't seen Sinners, but like here's this song they do so well with the music.
Mhm.
And I was waiting, and he has Irish in him. So that's why I was also excited. He loves his shanties and
Mhm.
stuff. And I was like, this sounds like one. So like, and he's like, Hunter, I already have a favorite rendition of this song. And like, that's just incredible that Coogler was able to put this very well-known folktale song in
Mhm.
here.
Yeah.
And like, I thought their rendition was so good and so peaceful and transfixing, and just like Mary coming upon them.
Mhm.
It fits the tone of the scene,
Yeah.
right?
I agree. I like all of the vampires music that they do.
Yes.
There's the other one that they keep singing outside too. That's really good. And then my favorite's when they do the big dance number and all the vampires are out there singing. I think that was an Irish one as well. That one is very good because you get to like the dance number with all the
Yes.
vampires
It
and
was more of an exciting song and more of like a happy, triumphant, right?
yeah,
And I was very into Remix Irish jig that he was doing.
yeah,
Jack O'Connell did so well showing that off, and
it's very good.
it shows off the vampires and the awesome makeup on them. I
Mm-hmm.
felt like, when you kind of like look through the group of vampires, you see more of how they look. And the folk music imbued into the vampires as a collective with their singing is fresh when it comes to vampires and villains. Very inspired choice to make our big bad vampire an Irish immigrant,
Mm-hmm.
like I was talking about.
Another very what do you call it? Someone who's trying to think of the word.
Oppressed?
Someone who's very oppressed at the time. Yeah,
Exactly.
yeah.
It goes back to the community theme in
Mm-hmm.
this movie where it's relatable too with both groups.
Yeah.
It definitely makes the themes richer and more relatable, and you just feel this movie has so much on its mind with stuff like that. And the vampires being a hive mind
Yeah.
too
I like that.
is a huge boost in my eyes for like a vampire movie.
Mm-hmm.
I really like that aspect of it.
I will say I was not like the Bo Chow, the Chinese husband went out. I was expecting, of course, him to get it, and some of the other minor characters, but I was not expecting O'Connell to come back with the entire crowd of everyone that left.
I
I
know.
was like, oh,
Oh
okay,
shit.
yeah. I
Yeah, no, I love that.
was like, this whole town is gonna run out of young people.
Right? And I mean, okay, we'll get to it right now. Stack's death,
Yeah.
incredibly done. And I felt the weight of it. Haley's performance was just as incredible as like the death I felt.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I can't remember the exact line, but oh, we're gonna kill you all. Like, holy shit. That was creepy.
Yeah.
Haley did really well with that. And it was just very natural. And I, for some reason, going into the movie, in the plot, I thought that Stack and Smoke would be the vampires,
Mm. See, I've seen the trailers because they kept showing on
and
every
I
movie.
didn't. Yeah,
I always knew one of the brothers was gonna die because they keep showing one of the brothers being infected. But it's the scene where he's banging on the door to get out. They show that in the trailer. That one's a really good one. And then they kind of get you because Smoke's gonna go get the key, and then he just busts down the door anyways.
I know. I know. The knocking is super creepy, and like Stack being alive again was something I wasn't very sure about.
Mm-hmm.
And I was left wondering, but it wasn't coming to the forefront of my brain until the knocking on the door happens.
Mm.
Honestly, like, yeah, I didn't know where it was going. This is why I'm so glad I don't watch trailers because, yeah, I didn't know And I thought they were both vampires this like whole time. And then when
Yeah.
I'm inserted into the movie, I'm like, oh, okay, this is where it's going.
Mhm.
And then that was a shock to me. That was a surprise. So I love that, you know?
See, I like the Annie talks right away about throwing his body outside. I
Yes.
like that.
I'm so glad somebody is knowledgeable like her, and it
Yeah,
makes sense that she is.
yeah,
I feel.
and yeah, people don't really make bad decisions in this movie.
Not
They just
really.
make emotional decisions,
Yes,
which
which
are
I
like
like a
understandable.
lot.
Especially when you finally get to the fight scene at the end. It was just like pure emotion driven. It wasn't. I don't even know like if she intended it.
The best thing about me is him. And I just wanted to keep you safe, but it was never going to be here and it was never going to be with me.
Mm,
Those two lines add to the heart of the film. Yet another added layer is the nice balance of this drama and romance, also mixed into this amazing vampire flick. They might be cheesy lines, right? But the way characters express their emotions in this film is something I admire, and the performances of everyone elevate those lines.
mm-hmm.
Even Smoke and Annie's baby, it wasn't super pronounced, but it didn't have to be to add to that relationship and your care for the characters.
Yeah.
That's what I love about it. Like you were talking about emotional decisions. We understand those emotional decisions because of all this setup for the characters and
100%.
backstory, I feel. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I love the writing in this film. It's it's not what you would typically see in a vampire flick, but it makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
Does that make sense?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
You would normally never see this much character build up.
No, no. And it makes you care about the stakes,
Mm-hmm.
not just the stakes
Just
through the heart. Yeah, ha ha ha.
I was gonna catch that one if you didn't.
Damn it. Okay, Andy, we've been talking too much. But yeah, like the stakes and who gets bit,
Mm-hmm.
and who doesn't, who gets turned. Usually in vampire movies, there's a couple characters where you're like, oh, okay,
Mm-hmm.
all right, they got bit.
Yeah.
But this one, it's like, no, 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 like
Yeah.
everybody. It's yeah, it sucks. You care about the other characters, and I can say I was invested in the community, and Sammy being special with his music makes sense to me, knowing there are dark forces and spirituality in both Smoke and Stack's own relationships as well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Onto the comedy a little bit more on, especially with Slim there. I really like the garlic scene when he's eating the garlic and they're going around.
Oh
And
my god.
I thought it was very almost tropey a little bit. I was like, okay, we're doing this.
But I haven't seen people like eat it,
Yeah.
is the funny thing. And then somebody that like really doesn't want to eat it,
Yeah.
is just interesting. I don't know. In that dire situation, I feel like she maybe should have been more keen on it.
Yeah.
Maybe
Just eat it. Come on.
just fucking eat it, like to live, but
Though Pearline, I think she was also outside of everything happening.
very true.
She might not be fully convinced.
Yep, very true.
But with Slim, he goes and eats it right away, and then he just that whole scene just silly, very stupid humor, but I liked it.
Yeah, no, definitely. And I did want to say too, like aside from the comedy details in this movie, like the vampire eyes, I love the way they look throughout the entire film.
Mm-hmm. Very good.
Little glances when they kind of look off to the side and stuff, even
Mm-hmm.
before the characters know that they're vampires, you can see it.
Mm-hmm.
And I love that little detail that like us as an audience member, even though we know and the characters don't,
Yeah.
we're like, oh fuck.
Yeah.
Like they're not even their vicious selves yet, but we can see that little glint in their eyes.
Yeah. I think Cornbread has that too when they're talking to him.
That's exactly when I spotted it, when he looked off to the side and he was kind of like looking around outside, like that
Just a
nobody else is
little
there or
glimpse.
something, you can
Yeah.
see a little glint. And I was like, you
Yeah.
know, like I just love that in films where
Mhm.
they like pay attention to that stuff.
Mhm.
Yeah.
I like that a lot. Sorry, on the comedy bits as well. I
Yeah.
I think I cracked up the most at um the guy that's drunk on the floor that passes
Oh
out,
my
and they're like,
God.
"Oh, he's bit," and they throw him outside, and I'm like, "Oh no."
I know. We were like, no, bring him back in. And you know what's even more sad about that guy? He got cut in the face before that even happened.
Yeah.
He got knifed
Yeah.
in the club.
Yeah, because that was the one that got cut by the cheater, I think.
Yes,
Yeah.
and that's why they thought that blood was blood, but it was actually the drink.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's so unfortunate. And you know, the interesting thing too about this, it tries to give open sympathy to vampires as a being,
Hmm.
which I thought was fresh and nice. They also get roped into the big theme of community and sinners like the vampires do. Remick wants to make his own community, just like Smoke, Stack, Mary, Annie, and all others in the club are trying to maintain.
Hmm.
Both sides are oppressed and trying to make their own happiness because the state of the world is really pushing them down and out. Music was also very integral in both communities as well in bringing people together, like we kind of mentioned
Hmm.
earlier.
Yeah. Sammy's music brought everyone together, including the
Exact
vampires.
right. It
They,
was kind of a beacon
yeah,
for them. And you
summoned them
know,
there.
just like music gave hope to downtrodden people back then as well, it made sense to have the music in here in this time in the
Hmm.
30s because yeah, just you know how oppressed and downtrodden they are. It gave them hope, and it also gave Remick, which I thought like just very very deep. A lot of layers to this movie that I love picking apart.
Yeah. Like a garlic. Do garlics have layers?
You son of a bitch. All right. Like an onion. Yeah.
Like an onion.
Like an onion. Yeah, like, you know, plenty of symbolism and references in this movie to the world of film that people have been combing over like ever since this came out.
Hmm.
Not sure if it was intentional, but Delta Slim's sacrifice and death totally reminded me of like the Mummy, where a character is carried off by a horde of people too. Like the horde of vampires come in when he like cuts himself and he sacrifices himself,
Hmm.
and they're just like carrying him away, and that's all we see.
Yeah.
So like that really reminded me of the Mummy, one of my favorite movies ever.
The Brendan Fraser one, I'm guessing.
Yes,
Not
Brendan.
Tom Cruise.
Fuck no. Yeah, no, definitely. Yeah, definitely the Brendan Fraser. He's my hero.
Yeah.
I love you, Brendan.
Go into the fight scene then?
I mean, yeah, even though like if Coogler didn't think of that, that's my reality, is what
Mm,
I'm saying. A reference to the Mummy. So
interesting.
yeah, mm, okay. Oh, when the vampires burst in.
Person. Yeah.
Okay, okay. Um,
Because I I like that that Grace Chow was very emotional about her husband
yep,
because you build that connection early on. I don't think theirs was as strong as many of the other characters, but I still liked that you could see that connection. And she was just so pissed that she said, "Well, come on in and get me then." And just the way she said it, I don't think she even intended it as an invite, is more than just a emotional outburst type of
yep,
thing.
yep.
And then like as soon as she said it, I'm like,
Oh, oh.
oh,
Yeah, no, and like my wife said the same thing. Like Nell said the same thing when it happened. She's like, "You dumb bitch."
yeah,
Like you know, like a lot of people would say, right? But I like how that one was set up
but it's
as
understandable.
opposed to
Yeah,
others.
they
Yes,
killed
in
her
movies like
husband,
this. Yep,
threatening her child.
definitely. Yeah, like and also you got to think too. She was working the white side
Hmm.
store. So she's not as into this community as her husband was. You almost would have wanted the husband in that position because he would have been more aligned with everybody in the building
See, I felt like they
instead of
were
her.
both back and forth
Okay. Okay.
because like she came over to his store and like the daughter watched over there. For I felt like they're both pretty connected. They were a divide where I guess Chinese were accepted on both sides. So
Yeah. 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 No, just very interesting. Yeah. It's like, no,
it,
as soon as that happened. And like, yeah, the tension between like the vamps and the people was like pushing me out and pulling me back in.
mhm.
Like it was the vampires persuading me and trying to entrance me too, and during that fight as well, I was like, oh man, how is this gonna play out with that big of a group of vampires
Yeah,
with this
it's
many people left in the building?
yeah. In So that's the thing where my rating comes in too, is with like a lot with this fight scene is you can have the greatest movie, you can have all of Pulp Fiction, all of I don't know any other great movie, all of The Thing, but if you end it really badly, that's what I'm gonna be left with in my mouth. And like, so I really love everything leading up to this, and it's just this fight scene is where things just go very downhill for me.
Really?
Because
Okay. Okay.
I'll let you start with the positives, and I'll filter in some of my thoughts.
I mean, at least with the final encounter between Smoke and Stack. Thankfully riveting, and it
Mm-hmm.
paid off for me. It sets up the ending well too, with Stack being alive
Yeah.
as well too. It wasn't like, well, how the hell is he alive now? It like it does leave you, and then you don't really think about it because of all that's going on, and then that end credit scene happens.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so I like that about the fight. I do.
Yeah. Yeah, I thought the brothers stuff was good. I didn't mind their stuff. I A lot of where I dislike this, I think, comes with the camera work and how they tell the story of this fight. It is so jarring to me when they first burst in the door, because they start shooting, they kill a lot of them right away, and then all of a sudden there's jump cuts galore, and I cannot tell who's being bit. I see like three people being bit, and I'm like, wait, who are these people? And then, like, I swear they added extra characters in there that we didn't know about because people were getting bit, and I was just confused because I'm like, okay, we get a more in depth scene of Perlene being bit. So I'm like, okay, that wasn't her that got bit. But yeah, there's some people that get tackled and bit, and I'm just confused. And
It's very chaotic.
all of a sudden, when Smoke, or not Smoke, Slim is doing a sacrifice right before everyone runs up the stairs,
Yes.
all the vampires ran out or something. Wait, where are they going? Are they going to regroup or something? And then all of a sudden they're there again. They aren't like chasing them up the stairs. It's just very like I felt like he killed himself for nothing.
No, I took that away as well,
You
and
felt
I
that?
and I like that. Actually, I like that aspect that he thought he was doing a huge sacrifice, and then even though I love the character and I hope for the best,
Yeah.
I like that it was dark in that way. That
Mm-hmm.
like it didn't matter.
Yeah.
But you know what? Why I gave this a 4.5 out of 5? I somewhat agree with you
Okay.
on the end fight. I think that's kind of what takes me away from the film a little bit, because I know I mentioned in one of our previous pods that I want to see what's going on.
Yeah.
Show me what's going on. And I don't like super shaky camera, quick, very quick movement to
Very
where I
quick.
can't get the image, you know. So I understand.
Okay.
I
Well, I'm glad
do.
I'm not alone in that
No,
because
you're not. You're not.
it was. I felt for me at least very jarring to the very slow pace,
Fair.
slow, methodical camera work that we've had
Yes.
up until this. The very good panning shots, especially like stuff having the concert only like 10, 20 minutes before that, where it was like very nice panning
Yep.
over, and then he just jumping around so much, and then all the vampires were gone. I'm like, wait, they were supposed to overwhelm them.
Sure.
And
Yeah,
then
definitely.
where'd they all go?
Like I told you, I was really wondering what was going to happen because that was a big group of vampires and only a couple people in the building. Like,
Yeah.
how are they going to fend them off? So I don't know if that was perfectly done. This film is not perfect.
Mm-hmm.
No, just what an experience though, and it was amazing, and I love it passionately. So I think that's kind of what detracts from my rating for
Okay.
sure.
I think I just stuck on it maybe a little harder than you.
I think everything else outshined it.
I could see that, but I think everything after the fight scene doesn't do enough to repair it for me.
Oh boy, I love after the fight. Okay, okay, all right, we'll get
So
in that.
so on one question during the fight
Yes,
scene that maybe you would know.
what's up?
Why were the vampires obsessed with Annie? Is it because she was special? Because Stack, he's like, "Why'd you have to go and kill Annie?" And I think even Mary makes a comment about being mad about it. And I was just very confused about that. Like, were they? I suppose it's because of the community thing. They want every single person they can, so they were upset about people dying. But they just seemed so connected to Annie, and I'm like, why do they care about her being a vampire? They have 100 more.
I took it as that was the only person that was like permanently like killed that
Mm-hmm.
night.
Okay.
And they wanted as much as they could for their community, and she probably would have been good for the community.
Okay. That makes sense. I
Yeah,
I think they
like
permanently killed a few during the battle. There was a few stakes, but I don't know if anyone.
stakes, yes, but she wasn't even turned yet
Yeah.
either. They were hoping she would be.
Yeah.
Yep. If that makes sense.
Yeah.
Because they still retain somewhat of their
Yeah.
humanity, or who they were as a person. Not totally though, and I'll get into that.
I did
Yeah.
like that Smoke was quick about it though. He wasn't like there wasn't a
No,
10-second
yes.
slow-mo scene where everything's going on around him and he's hemming and hawing about it.
Yep.
He was just like quick. He's like, okay, I gotta do it.
It was very well done. Like if a situation was to pop up like that in a movie, at least it was done that way.
Yeah.
I like that a
Because
lot.
there's always so many where it's like, oh, I gotta kill you, and then they're just taking so
Just
long about it
teetering.
that
Yeah.
you're like, okay, you would have been killed by the other ones by now.
Exactly. Yeah. I just really like that, and that the vampires, like, that was a little bit of a blow to
Yeah.
them at least.
Yeah.
Remix showdown with Sammy. Should we jump to that
Sure.
after the whole
Yeah. In the
fight?
water.
Or do you have any more points about the fight at all?
Yeah. No, I don't think any other things. I do like the location. I think is really great. I do want to say
Yes.
that. Even if
Yep.
I didn't like the fight itself, I think the
No.
location lended itself
Love the club.
really well
So
to a
good.
fight.
Yeah.
So that was good.
Yeah. Yeah. I agree too. And I mean, when we get to Remix Showdown with Sammy,
Yeah.
very epic though.
Mm-hmm.
I do love this encounter. Too many movies have the big bad burning up like he did, and it either ends too quickly and is unsatisfying, or it looks just not good at all.
Mm-hmm.
But this one, I feel like, turns the tables on those thoughts that I have about usual endings like this.
Mm-hmm.
I felt like it looked really good. It felt right. And just, I loved how he burned up, and like not even just his body decaying, like almost a spirit shoots up from him,
Yeah.
and like then like flames out. I love that. I love that part actually. Especially since he was the original vampire,
That we know of.
the big bad.
Yep.
Well, right. Yeah.
Yeah. Wherever he came from.
And just the setting of that whole encounter, and also it kind of was showing a little bit of images from baptism
Mm-hmm.
with
Yes.
him dunking Sammy under the water. So at first I was like, okay, why is he dunking? but when you zoom out and look at this as a film with religion and everything,
Mm-hmm.
it really adds to it actually, and it's really nice. And like I didn't hate it at first. I was just wondering, like, okay, what's about that? Like, why
Yeah.
is he dunking him? But yeah, no, I just feel like it really adds to the ending and the sunset coming up,
Yeah.
and then the sun taking care of all those vamps. Like, I just thought it was so natural and awesome, awesome ending.
Though that sun moved fast.
It did. It
Yeah.
did. But oh
Say that.
well, it's movie time as well,
Yeah.
though too. I never take that into account,
You know,
honestly.
it's always every movie sun goes so fast.
It's never real time.
Yeah.
Yeah. And also we're being told a story, so I don't expect to have every second accounted for.
Yeah. Gotta gloss over it a little bit.
Exactly.
Like Michael Jordan somehow making no sound as he runs up behind him.
Yeah, yeah. No, definitely.
That big 200+ pound guy
Yes.
running in the water. Yeah, I did really like all Sammy's stuff, and I thought it was believable that Remick would monologue and talk to Sammy and not
Yes.
just bite him,
Yep.
because he wanted Sammy to want the community.
Exactly.
He
Yep.
didn't want to just infect him.
No.
So I like that.
I do too. Yeah, it felt more personal.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, and Remick as a character, it felt like he was a talker, actually.
Yeah.
Even though he could be a little like quiet and devious at times. Like, yeah, he was definitely a talker. So it really fit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But he never really bit anyone much himself other than Mary.
No, he didn't. And I don't mind that because of the imagery that the movie gave us. It
Mm-hmm.
it felt like he was the devil,
Yeah.
incarnate. Like it just stuck out to me, and it was like he's leading all of his minions.
Yep.
He was that top vampire that should be the top vampire.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I like that there's a little gleam of kind of like a red herring of
Mhm.
maybe not all of what Annie said was true. Like she's like, well, if you kill the original, it's not going to kill the rest. This is
Yes.
different. But then they all feel the same pain that he does, that Remick does.
Hmm.
And so you're like, well, maybe they are connected, and they all burn up right after Remick. So it's kind of like that tricks you into not expecting
Yes.
any more to be around.
Exactly. It's kind of open ended. It makes sense that they were all burned up in the sun. But like, yeah, if the original is killed, what happens to the others? Well,
Yeah.
the others that ran, like
Still
Mary and
around.
Stack,
Yep.
still around. I love that, and
What do they do all day? They think vampires watch TV.
good question, because like
70 years later, they gotta
when Mary and
be bored.
Stack pop back up, they seem very in style for the time.
I did like that. I'm like, oh, they're
I did
blending
too.
in.
Yeah, they're like, yes, exactly, blending in.
Mhm.
Yep, to the times and like acting like normal people.
Yep.
Yes, yeah, I really like that.
Plus,
That's a good question.
built on the costume design of it's not just 30s. They had a really good 90s costume design.
They
So.
did, all for sure. And I was pleasantly surprised when the big action set piece happened with Smoke mowing down the KKK at the end.
Yeah. Okay. What are your thoughts on this?
Honestly, I think like I was thinking it would end like quite a few movies structured like this. Right when Sammy enters the church and brings the story full circle,
Mm-hmm.
right? Or however you'd say that. It was refreshing and needed and totally fit. I felt like this whole action set piece. It was very welcomed in this vampire movie. Wasn't just vampires and blood and romance. You get a little bit of this action, and you also get a sick shot of Michael B from there with the Tommy gun. It was, yeah, I just thought it was epic, and it wasn't like tacked on.
Mm-hmm.
I felt like it totally fit.
I kind of felt the opposite. I felt like it was tacked on.
Really?
We knew it was coming because Remick mentions, knowing the thoughts of the two KKK members and that they were
Yes.
going to come back.
The couple.
I was not expecting it to be a whole day later, though. I'm like, for one, I know the KKK probably aren't the brightest people. Why wouldn't you attack when they're all there? You'd think there's just going to be a few drunk people, and you're going to kill like 3 people left when their goal was maybe to kill all the black people. But I don't know. I didn't understand their motivation for coming back the next day. And then when they knew the party was the night before. And then Michael B. Jordan, I did like, he get to use his wartime skills and all of his guns. And we finally got
Yes.
to.
We knew they were both veterans,
Yeah.
Smoke and Stack. Yeah.
Chekhov's gun finally got to come around because we mentioned the trunk, I
Yes.
think once or twice.
Yep.
So that finally comes out.
Yeah, like one of them, like really early on, said, "Why didn't you check the trunk?" Or something like, yeah.
Or like I left. I think it's before the big battle with the vampires. They're like, trunk's in the car or something.
There we go. Yeah, something like that. They mentioned. Yeah.
Yeah. So I thought that was great. I liked, Michael B. Jordan always mowing down people, and then you get that Tommy gun scene that you didn't see. It's in the trailer, but there's him shooting the Tommy gun. It was very cool.
And of the times too, because Chicago, you had the like Valentine's Day massacre with Tommy guns and stuff like that. So I really like that with the whole Capone Chicago gangster aspect of it.
Yep. Yeah, the guns were definitely of the time. I just I don't know. I wish it integrated with the vampire stuff. For me, I think is what dropped it. I wish that they, I don't know, would have came back during maybe the vampire raid, and then you had both forces fighting, but also fighting each other, and that could have been maybe your excuse why some of the vampires ran off, and that this little group of people survived somehow. I don't know, I felt like that all could have done better.
Personally, I don't know how I would have blended all of that. That would have been a huge fight and even more of an action set piece.
Yeah.
If you think about it. And I feel like with the KKK, it's just an added layer of danger to what the protagonists are trying to achieve with this club and community. And when you set them in that time and you set them in that place, there's of course going to be that danger from the whites.
Yeah, you can't ignore that being in Louisiana in the 30s.
You don't really get that conflict until then. So I feel like it does fit. If that makes sense, like because they're trying to achieve something like really nice for the community. And of course, being during that time and how social issues were, you're going to have people that want to put a cap on that.
Yeah.
Unfortunately. Does that?
In that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Many caps.
Yeah. So
I do think it needed to be in there.
Right.
I just don't. I wish it was integrated with the vampire stuff, or it felt more or less tacked on after the main climax. Okay. Like it just felt like, oh, our main climax is done. Oh, wait, we forgot about the KKK. Now they're here. And then he just conveniently kills 20 plus men very easily with only getting shot in the gut once.
I felt like it was more of, oh, hey, we solved this problem. There's more. Like,
there's always more.
So no, I totally understand where you're getting at.
Yeah.
For me, I feel like that just adds more to the world of the movie, and it as kind of a, I don't know, yeah, like it's not just that one night thing and one off. Like other movies I really love. I do love movies that take place over just one night, you know? Like don't get me wrong.
Story.
Yes, contained. I felt like it expanded the world in a good way.
Though one thing I could say that even if they do have them separate, 2 different battles, I did not like how Smoke goes out because he presumably dies there. Even though he was shot through the chest and it went out the other side, because I think you see both blood spots.
Yes.
He's not going to die from that wound. Probably not. You might lose some intestines. Maybe a doctor might fuck it up and kill you.
I thought it was clean through, yes, and I was like
maybe
pleasantly surprised at that.
Shot a couple more times.
Maybe.
Yeah.
He seemed weak even before then. Honestly, like I think that was kind of his just fucking charge at the end. Yeah, like,
but like The ghost thing. I did not like the ghost thing at all.
I liked that because it wasn't like that they were super transparent and showing up. I've seen movies where it's very cheesy like that, where like
Got the Casper
kind
ghost.
of see through ghosts show up.
Yeah.
I liked that because it connected back to Smoke's roots, community, his sense of community without his brother. That's also what he had in life.
Yeah.
And apart from Stack, Smoke was always very more like solemn and didn't really share his feelings. And you can sense that from the trauma that him and Annie faced together.
Mm-hmm.
So I really liked that it kind of came full circle for him before he died. Because if you think about it with Mary and Stack, it came full circle for Stack because he always wanted to be with Mary. Now they're together forever as vampires. So I felt like that was a really good cap of Smoke's story.
Mm-hmm.
And it was super sad. Did you notice with him trying to smoke a cigarette? Stack always made his cigs for him and rolled them up.
I did not notice that.
And he was struggling with rolling it up. And then he asks the main guy that they got the building from for a cigarette, for just an already pre-made one, because he can't do it. I love that. I love that. That's depth, man.
Yeah.
Like, that's depth between the brothers.
So I did like on that scene, he does take the charm off that he got from Annie.
Yes. Yep.
And now that I'm thinking of it more, maybe you could say that he's finally removing his protection, so everything's catching up to him, and now he's dying. And maybe it's not just the bullet.
I noticed that immediately when he took the charm off. And when Annie and him were talking about it originally in the beginning of the movie when they met up, and she asked about it, I was like, oh, okay. Nell forgot about that during the movie. And I was like, oh, like, it's really sad that that protected him and Stack this whole time. And now Stack is a goner.
Yeah.
And then Smoke, he's just like, Annie's gone. And it was just very sad. It added a lot of heft to the relationships, I felt.
Yeah.
And the story.
Sorry, not to be so much of a downer on these.
You're
on these
okay.
Scenes, but
yeah,
I like Coogler as a director a lot. I think he's doing a lot of good things. But I think he does go into the director trope a little bit of not trusting your audience at this part. Because we do have a flashback to Smoke being at the grave again for the child.
Yes.
And I get it's supposed to add to the depth of, losing your child and stuff, but I hate reusing scenes in movies. And like I forgave the intro because it's different and they intercut thrilling stuff with it. But I don't like that we flash back. Like, just trust your audience to remember that this happened less than an hour ago. We remember that he was praying at the grave scene.
Fair. Sometimes those hit me a certain way. And I think this did. I totally get what you're saying. With the whole baby plot, it wasn't so pronounced. And I love that. You know, that like, it didn't give much explanation, but it had its time here. And then we were shown it again just to amplify the moment, I guess, because so many events take place during this film. I like that we were kind of refreshed on that, on that like smaller part of the film.
See, I don't like the reusing, so I would prefer like maybe get a scene of him holding his child, as it dies or something, or like because Annie's holding it, so it presumably died after birth. Like I don't know, get a scene with him before. I don't know, just another scene.
Sure,
a different scene.
Okay, and we might differ in that way, and that's all right. And I kind of forgot this point of like the blend of genres, but like honestly, it was like this horror, this music part of it, this drama, this comedy. The blend of genres, it was like some amazing painting with like an array of colors that just fit. And it was like seeing something new that I didn't know I needed in my life.
Yeah.
Like I've been lacking this original thing and well done blend of genres in film for so long. So like that's what I felt like I got in Sinners as well.
Yeah.
Just wanted to say that for people, for film people that are like wanting that next thing that they can latch onto, that Sinners is that. Exactly.
It is one to see. Even though I have some problems with it, it's still good rating for me. I really liked Sinners a lot. All the art for this film is really good, and I thought the
Yes.
trailers, even though you didn't see them, were actually really well done. They give away a little. Like, of course, you're gonna know some people die, but with the twin thing, you don't know which one dies. It's great.
The culmination of the movie from start to finish, when I zoom out and I look at it as a whole, I get chills. And even if the goosebumps don't physically appear, they're there. Seeing Sammy all grown up, now we can get to like the
Yeah, the
end.
epilogue. Yeah,
Yes, and I love this structure.
I
Actually, I
was
do.
gonna say that too. This is so unique
It is, and I love it.
to the point the credits started rolling, and Ryan Coogler and I think a couple of
Yes.
the EPs and stuff names. We had like 2 to 3 people walk out of the theater.
Oh no, I know. Same, same. And I was like, guys, like, don't you know your shit? Or especially with like Marvel films and
I
stuff.
almost started to get up too because I'm like, oh, we're just gonna credit roll with him playing some music.
It wasn't bad though.
Yeah,
Like where it was like, oh, the movie's over. All right, time to go. Like it pops up though, and
yeah,
you're like, oh, it's not done. And
yeah.
I like that a lot actually. And like seeing Sammy all grown up and living out his dreams, then Stack and Mary coming to see him is so moving.
Mm-hmm.
At least those two, Mary and Stack, they get their happily ever after, and I'm happy with the complexity of the two, with letting him live and actually being good to him.
Mm-hmm. I I was conflicted on that a little.
Really?
On one side, I was like, as character wise, this is really good. Now talking to you more, I'm like more connected to the characters, and I think I liked it a little more. But I was also like, as I watched it and finished the film, I was like, oh, well, maybe they're not scary creatures. Well, maybe that's the intention of that too. Is
It
they're not
just
just demon, not just vampires.
it
They're
adds complexity to the creature,
yeah,
I feel, and you're just not like totally evil. Without Remick in
yeah,
the like cult of vampires, they can now be their individual selves. And yes, there might be that evil really in them still, and they like still are vampires, yes, but they also remember a part of their personal lives, and like Sammy was that for them, and like that community that Stack and Mary wanted to be a part of and create together. you know i I thought this ending was beautiful in many ways, but especially Stack and Sammy admitting that that was one of the best days of their lives. Their lives were forever changed from that night on.
mm-hmm.
So like, yeah, them talking about like when all the horror, like before all of the horror happened with the vampires, like I love when Sammy asked Stack, like, was it like that for you?
Mm-hmm.
Like, just what a beautiful question, actually.
Yeah, I agree. Sammy, like, kind of like at the end of his life there, and they like just choose not to infect him, and he kind of gets his closure. It seems like he said like he's had nightmares of that all the time,
Yep.
and then he kind of realizes that hey, maybe they're not so evil. They're just gonna let him die naturally. I don't know. It
It's
was sweet.
really interesting to think about and toss over, right?
Yeah, and I like that Sammy's playing an electric guitar. He's not playing his normal fiddle or whatever
It,
it was.
it's more with the times, right?
Yeah,
Yeah, and he still has that guitar, which is interesting, and I love how that was used on Remick. We didn't mention that, but like, yeah,
oh yeah,
through his
whacking
head,
him.
like, oh, that was awesome. And I did want to say, it's very fascinating that I've seen people dissect the message from this movie that Christianity is just another form of oppression. and that it's highlighted when Sammy is keeping his guitar instead of joining his father. He realized this would just be like joining Remick in his cult of vampires, as well as being inspired by Remick and what he was saying to him while trying to unalive him.
Yeah.
Remick was talking about how religion was also forced upon his people and got them killed. This just goes along with the line of, we made the blues and religion was forced upon us.
Mm.
Or something like that. I can't remember exactly how the line was or which character said it either, but it's so deep that Remick, no matter how good his intentions are and his community of vampires, it's like religion and conformity. And he's exactly what he hated.
Yeah.
That's the complexity that I love adding to that villain and just the overall message of this film.
It's interesting. I didn't pick up any vibes that it was like Christianity was an oppressing force. I was thinking it was more like Sammy needs his community.
Mm.
He doesn't want other communities that people try and force upon him, whether it be Christianity or vampirism.
Right.
He has to find his own path.
I think you're on the right track, like in that too. Like, yeah. Like, I like your thoughts on that too. Yeah. Ooh, one thought I had too, especially with the mid-credit scene.
Mm-hmm.
I realized Annie explaining vampires and how they are as creatures, which love the writing for that, like we talked about. It was actually spot on, even though she didn't get it completely right. I look at Marion Stack from when they were turned and when they visit Sammy years later, like we talked about. They're slightly different from what they once were. Vampires' souls are hateful and they're trapped on Earth, and they are now not their good selves like they once were, and they're hateful. So when they visit Sammy, I love that they were still slightly off. There's the note I kind of wanted to get to, like when we were kind of talking about that. I'm happy they aren't completely evil anymore, but like, they still are slightly off from what they once were.
Yeah.
I feel like that does track with them becoming vampires, them being slightly off. They're not going to be, and that's the tragedy of it, but also the happy ending kinda with Mary and Stack being able to be together forever within their own community like they couldn't in that present day and how the world was then. They couldn't be happy then. Now they are, which is very complex in itself too.
Yeah.
Yeah, even though they're vampires. Yeah.
Yeah, that's all I have for my notes.
What did you think of the ending? And like, what would you wish for differently with the ending? Like you were talking about, like you didn't like the action set piece there. You felt it was kind of out of place. Where would you have capped it off instead?
Um, like I said, I was originally less for the epilogue, but thinking about it more, I kind of like the epilogue.
Mm-hmm.
I think it works. I think it's just the action set pieces that don't work for me and that really bring this movie down.
Okay.
And I think their connection to being at the end of the movie just sours a little bit because it's still there.
But the first 2/3 were like
Yeah,
on a different level for you.
yeah. The first 2/3 are great. Like I think all the way up until Grace says come in, I think works for me.
Gotcha. Okay.
Like really well. I think it'd be like high 8 until the fight scene. Yeah, and the epilogue's fine.
Okay. And like, was there a certain part of Sinners that you latched onto the most or were rocking with most, like either the music, the love stories, the theme of community, or the vampire ferocity of it all? Like, what was your favorite aspect of Sinners?
I I really liked it as a historical character piece, which is probably the more, minute part of all of everything that's going here.
Mm-hmm.
But
You're an intellectual guy, though. So.
like if I could get a like prequel in Chicago or something of
Twins?
the twins, I wouldn't mind that.
Mm-mm.
Like it'd be a totally different thing. It'd be a gangster movie. Them working for Capone. I think that would be great because I really like all of Smoke's scenes when he's in the town preparing.
Yes,
Those are awesome.
I know.
And oh, I almost forgot. There's the one flashback that I do actually appreciate because it's new scenes that they're flashing back to
Okay.
when he's remembering all the people helping him set up at the end,
Oh,
and they're
man.
bringing everything in, and you're remembering all the characters. That worked really well for me.
That pulled heartstrings for me. It's like, it's kind of like,
Like everyone building it up because I was wondering earlier in the film. I'm like, damn, how'd they set this up in one night?
right. Yeah, no. So, like, that came at the right time, I feel, even though we didn't get it earlier.
Yeah.
That's a lovely time to set it. And it's an amazing time to reminisce on what happened in the whole like setup of it all. And you kind of think too, like, what could have been if
Mm-hmm.
it would have all worked out.
Yeah.
It was very sweet in that way. It was double layered in that way for me, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Well, the sad thing that you think about is it was not going to work out for the twins. They dropped the hints throughout the movie, like the gangs would have figured it out. They
Yes,
would have been on the run all their lives.
they were in a couple different dangers if you think about it, the gangs, the
Yeah.
vampires, and also the KKK.
Mhm.
So that's also, when you zoom out, that's also why I feel like the KKK part of it all adds to the danger. Well, I like that aspect, like kind of when we were talking about it. Yeah, I don't feel like it was tacked on,
Mhm.
but I get you. And I also would like to say I find Sinners important for so many reasons, but a big reason that comes to my mind is that it came out at the right time for so many people. It came out at the right time for people that are passionate about movies because this is an original story. It feels so personal and it can appeal to many different people that are into different genres and what they love about film. I like what Van Lathan said on The Big Picture about people not only craving originality in film, but authenticity. Coogler infuses that into this film, and I felt like that, like so many other people did. Also, I think with our social issues going on now, it's so scary looking at the past through this Southern Mississippi lens in the 30s, but it also screams to me that we haven't exactly totally left that dark past behind. It's important to be reminded of that in the racism that still goes on today, especially in this country. Just like with the main antagonist, Remick, there's hypocrisy in this world. Not a lot of self reflection or examination going on for those people, honestly. I even hate when I catch myself doing it, but like I try and reflect and not be a hypocrite. After Sinners, I have so much hope for film for years to come and these young filmmakers that are passionate in keeping it alive. Thank you to everyone who worked on this, honestly, and like gave us an experience that I'll never forget.
Mhm.
That's all I kind of want to leave with. That was my huge point
No,
about Sinners.
it's really good.
Thank you. I appreciate it, buddy.
Yeah. Yeah, all very poignant points. Yeah, Sinners is one that I definitely want to rewatch when it comes streaming. I think May 20th was the date I seen that it should drop streaming.
Perfect. And it's probably going to be
Who knows
on
what
Max
service?
since it's
Yeah,
Warner Bros.
Max. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, I look forward to that and definitely want to show my family this one.
I definitely want to rewatch it. Like all of these points, I'm surprised that I got off of. And like that kind of just goes to show you, even after watching it once, there's so much to chew on. And then when you rewatch it, there's even more.
Yeah.
So I'm super excited to rewatch this and really tightened up my thoughts about it.
Mhm.
And heck, it might raise up the rating for me when I rewatch. Just from talking to you, it's everything I look for. It's meaningful. Yeah,
Uh, yeah. I think that too. Like movies, like Marvel movies are amazing, and not always.
not
So
always.
disclaimer, not always.
Not always.
Many of the phases are amazing,
Yep.
and there's a lot of joy that those movies can bring. When a movie can bring that amazing fun, like the concert scene, but mixed with like messages that really matter to our society when the movies are being shown, those are what truly elevate movies.
Oh, definitely. It's so entertaining, and I feel like it's for a lot of different people.
Mm,
Like a lot of people can take different things from it.
yeah,
I feel. I suppose
that's all I got.
that's all you got. All right. Should we
Yeah,
move on to reminds me of?
yeah.
All right. What do you got?
So it's really hard to find movies of this depth. I would say this isn't my reminds me of necessarily, but if you do want to see more of the depth aspect, I would suggest, going to something like Black Panther, and seeing, Coogler's other films.
Yep.
But for reminds me of, I focused more on the vampire aspect
Okay.
for people that want more vampires,
Yep.
because I've plenty of vampire movies in my repertoire.
One of my favorite aspects from this film.
Yeah.
Yep.
Doesn't remind me much of Dawnbreakers, Daybreakers, sorry, with Ethan Hawke, but that one I always like to shout out. One it did kind of remind me of was 30 Days of Night. I don't know have you seen this one?
Hell yeah, I have. Yep. One of
It's
the best.
not Sinners is a lot more lighthearted, I would say.
Yes, and it has more on its mind for
Yeah.
sure instead of just being a vampire.
Yeah.
Yeah.
30 Days of Night is very, very dark, and there's no levity, there's no dance scenes.
No.
There's not really many jokes, if any.
No magical
Um
music.
but I just really like 30 Days of Night as a vampire movie, and I think it's if you're looking for the vicious side of vampires, that's where it is.
Oh my god, you took the words right out of my mouth actually. Yep, viciousness from the vampires in this. And
And
like the nice practical makeup on
yeah,
them where they weren't so perfect and beautiful for
yeah,
vampires, they were ferocious.
yeah.
Yeah.
Gross, bloody, scary. It's good horror.
Oh yeah.
And the other one I was thinking of was Fright Night from 2011. Not, I haven't seen the original '85
I haven't
film.
either, but I
Um,
love 2011s.
but yeah, I love 2011 with
Yeah,
Colin Farrell kind of
same.
as the bad guy there, and Christopher Mintz-Plasse is just a weird vampire in that movie.
Oh my god, yeah.
Dave Franco, good cast, lesser big actors, but like it's still a decent. I think it's a remake or just using
It's
the
a
same name.
remake. Young actor that passed away too soon as
Mhm.
well.
Yeah, Fright Night's fun. It has more of the family connection aspects. I think you'd be looking for in a vampire movie, closer to Sinners.
It's
And
way
it's
more contained.
yeah, it's not as vicious. It's more in line with creating good characters and a story
And
as it is
lore.
the vampires. Yeah,
Yep.
those are mine too.
Definitely. Yeah, well, I mean, a lot of people have already said this. Very good ones from you as well. Like I was going to mention 30 Days of Night with the ferocity and
Yeah,
yeah, like every time I thought about this movie, Fright Night is one of the more modern vampire movies that like stick in my mind at all times when it comes to vampires. I love that movie to death. But I would definitely say From Dusk Till Dawn, very obvious one. But I simply put this down for like the comedy aspect of it. There's plenty of quick liners in From Dusk Till Dawn as well as this one. There's a bit of sexiness in From Dusk Till Dawn, not all the way through like Sinners, but especially with Salma Hayek uh, dancing. That's one of her most famous scenes. And being stuck in a building where there's partying all night.
hmm
It's From Dusk Till Dawn takes place in a bar. The vampires are inside the bar instead of outside, but still. And the two brothers being turned against one another. George Clooney and Quentin Tarantino are brothers in that movie, and Quentin Tarantino helped produce. He wasn't the director on it, but heavily handed in it. It's just very interesting, and you get that very personal dynamic between family members when one is turned into a vampire and one is not. And to you, those are the two main characters. So just like Smoke and Stack, you're like, oh my God, one of the main characters is turned into a vampire. Like, what's going to happen? So that conflict is there for both. And also characters you actually care about being turned and dying.
Mm-hmm.
Just like Quentin Tarantino's character, he gets turned and he dies. And also the dad of a young Juliette Lewis, it's Harvey Keitel that has been in plenty of Tarantino films, just like Pulp Fiction and everything. But yeah, he also gets turned. So just that conflict of characters you really actually care about being turned in a vampire film that I'd say From Dusk Till Dawn is a lot more comedy action, but yeah, it just stuck in my mind the whole time during this. And it was very important because my dad also showed me that film like when I was younger. So yeah, that's what I would say.
Interesting. I don't know if I've seen this all the way through.
You gotta.
My dad has watched it maybe on 3 or 4 separate occasions, and
Yep.
I've always just got little parts of it.
It's one of the most rewatchable movies. It is actually a great movie. Okay, maybe you and I could watch it. Yeah. Let's do that. Okay.
That's my list there.
Yeah, there you go. But yeah, that's it for my reminds me of.
Yeah. Yeah. Going to now watching a little bit then?
Yeah. What have you been checking out?
Yeah. So we talked a little bit before the pod. I've been watching a lot of horror movies lately. Not much new to talk about. Crossing a little bit off my Marvel watch list. I told you I watched Echo, the little mini series.
Yeah.
That was pretty decent. New Mutants, not worth your time, even as a Marvel fan.
Nope.
Have you seen that one?
Yep.
Not worth the time.
Yeah, I'm not going to waste my breath on that one.
What a waste of Anya Taylor-Joy in the MCU.
No joking, and Charlie Heaton.
Yeah,
as well.
Maisie Williams.
And Maisie Williams. It had such a good cast. What happened?
Anyways, what have I watched? I watched Tick Tick Boom again.
Oh my God, I really want to rewatch that actually.
I think I told you that off pod to watch that one, or that we talked about it, but it's so good.
Nell and I watched it as soon as it came out, so I think we just talked about it. And yeah, you don't really like musicals, so it's surprising that you love this movie.
Getting more into them. This is my second watch through, and I think it's only been a month because I watched this a little bit late, and I bumped it up from 8 to a 9. I just love it.
I know, it's so good. Andrew Garfield though.
I'll probably watch it again in a month. This might be one of my rewatch movies.
That's awesome.
I have the soundtrack in my playlists already.
That's amazing. Oh my God, I love that. Yeah. I have a couple Sinners songs downloaded right now. Yep. Especially Dangerous by Haley Steinfeld. If you haven't heard that.
I'm going to need to do that.
Very good.
And then I think since our last episode, I watched all of Black Mirror season 7 is the new one. Yeah.
And I'm sad to say, even though I'm passionate about Black Mirror, still haven't checked it out yet. There's been a lot going on in my life, so I wanted to give my full attention.
It is average overall, I would say.
Don't even.
There's 2 or 3 really good episodes, but the overall average is average, I would say. It's not the worst season, but it's not the best season.
I would say that for plenty of the Black Mirror seasons, when you kind of go back on them, there are like those couple like that you don't really care about. And then there's just these amazing ones. And then maybe there's 1 or 2 that are like, hey, that was good.
Yeah. I think I actually went back and did the math and averaged out my seasons by my ratings per episode.
Oh, cool.
And I think season 1 was my top one just because all 3 of the first one are pretty good.
Mm-hmm.
They're not like the top episodes for me, but they were all just high enough that they were
Entire
good.
History of You. Oof.
Yeah, very good. But yeah, this one's middling.
Okay.
Last one, romance, because I don't throw many romances ones.
No way. Andy Romance? Wow.
Romance one
wow, I wonder why.
So the Life List that came out this year on Netflix. So I checked it out. I really enjoyed it. I don't know if this movie is great. In fact, there's probably a lot I could pick apart in Life List.
Yep.
Um, but I just really enjoyed it.
Overall enjoyed it.
I
That's
know.
all that matters.
Like
Yeah.
the emotions, I think I connected really well with the characters. I think the main actors did really well for doing that for me, especially Sophia Carson, who plays the lead.
And she's also from Carry On, that
Uh,
also was on
yeah,
Netflix. And
she's the
Nell and I immediately,
the spouse in there, right?
yes, yeah, Taron Egerton's
His,
girlfriend or spouse or
yeah,
something. That, yeah, I was excited for her to pop up in more stuff
yeah,
because Nell and I are like, who is this? When we watched Carry On.
yeah.
So
She's very good.
perfect.
And then this has got Connie Britton in it as the mom.
Love Connie.
She's one of those ones where she has a pretty big repertoire, but I haven't like just started seeing her till lately, and then she's in everything I'm watching.
That's insane.
It's just one of those actors. Like she was in the Zero Day Show with Robert De Niro.
Oh,
As like a quick mini series.
huh.
She plays a big part in that, and I'm just seeing her everywhere.
I've known her ever since Friday Night Lights.
Yeah,
So I've been on the Connie Britton train for a while. Yeah, I love her.
yeah.
Yeah.
So it was good. I
Can't wait to watch that then.
connected well with the characters. So I think that emotional through line brought it home to me. So
Awesome.
if you're looking for a good romance comedy with some bucket list fun, yeah, that's the one.
Perfect. Nice recommendation there to add.
What about you? What have you been watching?
Basically, I have just been wanting to show Nell more of my like list movies that I want to
Mhm.
show her really bad. So she's a big Tarantino fan already.
That's
We've
good.
we've watched Inglorious Bastards, The Hateful Eight, Once Upon a Time in Hollywood together. So she's very familiar with Tarantino. And like I mentioned earlier, she loves the hell out of Christoph Waltz. And I mean, it was sad telling her that Christoph wasn't in all of Tarantino films, only a couple. But I figured I would show her Pulp Fiction because I really, 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 really wanted to rewatch that. Yeah, and it's been exciting too because we did watch Severance, the show Severance on Apple TV Plus.
Mhm.
A bunch of people are going to be like, "Oh, Severance," but she loves Christopher Walken, and she didn't know that he starred in quite a few of the earlier Tarantino films.
Mhm.
So I'm like, Pulp Fiction would be a perfect one because he delivers one of the best monologues in movies ever in that. So we got halfway through that and Nell fell asleep, not because of Pulp Fiction, but it's been just exhausting for us lately.
Mhm.
But yeah, we'll finish that soon, hopefully. We also need to watch the first 2 episodes of The Last of Us. So that might be after we watch those so we can
Mhm.
get caught up before
The new season.
Sunday night here. Yeah, season 2. 2 episodes are out so far. And then the third episode will be Sunday night. And also just been watching Adventure Time.
It's always a
I know
classic.
really random
Yeah.
coming out, but I do like some of my animated series. Like I've watched like Big Mouth, stuff like that, and Rick and Morty is one of my favorites ever. So I kind of wanted to find something close to that where I know you can't ever really turn your brain off, like completely off, but I feel like I can turn my brain off a bit before bedtime and watch Adventure Time because Nell and I actually we were watching Love on the Spectrum.
Mhm.
We completed all 3 seasons of that.
And Zero. Can't forget Zero. He also likes watching it.
Yes, yep. Zero loves Love on the Spectrum, especially when Connor's dog, his little Pomeranian, pops up. And Connor, one of our favorite people on Love on the Spectrum, he mentioned that he watches Adventure Time, and I'm like, you know what? I should give it a shot. So I finally did, like when I was super tired one night, and just been continuing on that. So
Is this your first watch through of it?
yes.
Oh,
Yeah, never seen a single episode of Adventure
wow.
Time. So
Okay.
yeah, I'm really liking it.
Yeah.
It's different and it has some of my comedy in it. But yeah, I unfortunately haven't been watching many movies lately. Like I said, Nell and I have a lot of personal life stuff going on. So yeah,
Yeah.
eventually I will get back to watching plenty of movies.
Yeah.
Yeah, but that's about it.
Yeah. I'm also delving into a lot of TV shows lately, so
Yeah.
my movie list is a little bit less long than it usually is.
Yeah, and put on hold a little bit. Yeah, and
Yeah.
it's okay. We always have films to watch, and whenever life goes back to normal, that's when I'll
Yep.
be sitting and watching my stuff. But yeah, like everyone, go see Sinners in theaters now and support. You won't regret it
Hmm.
at all.
Yep. Give Coogler all your money.
Yes, all of it. And make sure to be on the lookout for our next episode. We'll be doing a 2024 wrapped topic
Yes.
episode. And Andy really wanted to do that since he's back and we can catch up on everything that we watched from that year while he was
Yep.
gone.
Yeah. We acknowledge that we're a little late. It's April, end of April. But yeah, we'll go back and cover 2024 now.
I mean, yeah, it's kind of just fun to talk about movies in general. It'd be more of a relaxed conversation. But
Yep.
yeah, at least we hit upon Sinners. That's going to be a huge movie for
Yeah.
years and years to come.
Yeah. It's only April. We'll see if the hype lasts throughout the year to get them the Oscars.
I'm interested. Yeah, I want to see what they're selected for in the Oscars
Yeah.
or nominated for, I should say.
Yeah. And as me and you talked about as well, expanded Oscar categories.
Oh,
So,
thank God. Stunts.
you know,
Let's go, guys. Finally.
too bad it's the year after Fall Guy.
I know.
So,
I know. A movie dedicated to that area of film.
yeah.
And also, they came out with the awesome rule of the voters have to watch every
Yeah.
major movie in major categories,
Yep.
which should have been a rule many years ago.
I hope that doesn't detract from losing votes overall. Like if someone doesn't want to watch every movie, they can't vote. I hope that doesn't like lose a lot of people.
I think it should be required.
I think for some of the lesser categories, like the main categories, I think it's required. But like the lesser ones, like the shorts, if they want to vote at all, they have to watch all of them.
True.
So I hope
Okay, I
they
get
don't
you.
like watch a few and they're like, "Oh, that's really good," but they don't want to watch all of them, and then their vote just doesn't get cast for this good short. So,
I get you. Yeah, it just seemed very apparent in this year's Oscars that
yeah.
everybody did not watch everything.
Yeah.
Yeah. So good rule to add. But
Yeah, that is all I got.
lastly, make sure to follow us on socials on TikTok and Instagram at Hazardous Opinions Pod. Join us on Discord and follow our individual accounts on Letterboxd. All of the links will be in the episode description for you guys. If you want to reach out to us, you can also email us at hazardousopinionspod@gmail.com. Also, if we could have you guys follow and rate us wherever you get your listening today, it helps out a ton. We appreciate your support and thank you so much for listening. Bye, everyone.
See ya.